the potential sale of our Gambian Messi, Yankuba Minteh, due to PSR. You happy with it? You're not happy with it? What would you do?
Okay, there's two sides to this one. I'm happy with it because it probably would be easier for us to keep players like Isak and Bruno without being forced to sell those kind of players. It also makes me mad because I don't think we should sell one of our best talents that we have, or so it seems. But also you have the side of we've scouted this kid and we bought him for £7 million. If we sell him for what's reported around the £40 million mark, we make £33 million profit, and he hasn't played a single game for us.
Yep.
So on one side, it's really good scouting, first of all, from the club. We should give them that. And if we can get that money for a player who hasn't played in Premier League yet, and we said beforehand on the Dutch league can be a bit. You can have a good season there. We go scoring goals, assisting a lot of goals, but you can come to a bigger league and you fail miserably, or you do like okay. So in that sense, it could be a good time for us to cash in on him, because you never know. Also with young players, it's like 2 injuries away from maybe not having a good career. My first feeling when it first reported that we were gonna sell him was like, no, come on, man, we haven't even seen him play for us. There's something we want to see.
Me too.
We want because when we got the new owners, we were like, okay, we can finally not lose our talent. Our talent is gonna stay with us. We're gonna see them prosper in the club. We've seen it a little bit with Lewis Miley and so, but this was also the part of the business that we wanted to see, because you don't always want to see us being the superstars or the finished product of a player. You want to see us bring forth something from our own academy.
Yep.
Although he's not academy product, but we bought him in at least, so that's what kind of player. That's the thing that stinks, and also because this is the PCR thing, I don't think we would have think about selling him if it wasn't for the PCR.
100%.
And that's where the frustration lies, mainly for me. But I mean, it's good money for a player, like I said, who hasn't played in the Premier League yet. So in that sense, it's a good deal maybe. But of course, it's not ideal. I'd rather see us sell someone else like a Miguel Almiron, just not because I dislike Almiron, but he's
I do.
older.
Go away. Get him out.
I know.
Get him out.
But he's older, and he's probably at the tail end of his career, somewhat. So I'd rather see us selling him than Minteh, but I understand that the interest from Minteh might be higher than for Almiron.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a sort of sale you see the teams of like Chelsea and Man City doing, where they've got a roster of young talent. They've got all these players out on loan. They've got so many players here, there, and everywhere, and they're going, you know what? Because you see them like selling the odd player now and then that they've never really featured or only played 1 or 2 times, and making their money that way. The frustration, I agree with you about the frustration, is that if PSR and FFP weren't there, we absolutely would not consider selling him. However, 40 million quid for someone that's never played for us, never kicked a ball, for a 19-year-old isn't. I was disappointed to hear about it. If we put the money to good use and not, Kelly and Kilman and the rest of them that we're getting linked to, if we get someone like we were sniffing around Elise, if we're going after that, if they lose Minteh, gets us an Elise-esque player, I'll live with it. That's the only way I'll forgive them if we sell him. If we sell him, we have to get a quality right winger. If we have Murphy or Almiron in our starting lineup and Minteh is sold, I'll be very upset.
Yeah, and the fear of him going somewhere else and then prospering even more and becoming even more better player. That's the thing. That's the biggest fear everyone of us has, that he might go on somewhere else and become like a superstar.
Yeah,
we sold him because of PCR.
I think I trust the owners. So if we do sell him, Stephen, do you think there'll be good clauses in his contract? I think they'll negotiate a good deal. We don't seem to sell well under these yet. I haven't seen.
I mean, I think a big part of that is because we haven't got very many saleable assets.
I think what are we on about?
It's very easy for anyone, particularly like you see it a lot there's a lot of negativity on social media at the moment around this rumor, right? And a lot of people saying, "Oh, wow, how can it's disgusting? How can we possibly consider selling Minteh when we've got Longstaff and Almiron on the books?" It's like, well, no one wants to buy Almiron and Longstaff. People want to buy Yankuba Minteh because at least in a continental league where the physical demands are not as high as they are in the Premier League, he's shown he can be really promising. And there's a reason why the clubs linked to him, by and large, have all been clubs that we've seen him linked with Dortmund, with Lyon, Everton, one of them, but I would discount them in terms of the point I'm about to make. And we've also seen him briefly linked to Leipzig as well, Marseille. These are all clubs who, Dortmund, barring Everton, these are all clubs that have got, at the very least, a good record of developing young players. And I think that's the reason why he's been linked to those clubs, is because they see a player, depending on the final fee, like everyone's assuming.
I was going to say, did they have 40 mil? Apart from Dortmund, I don't see Leon. I heard Leon weren't doing too hot financially.
I think it's going to be lower than 40 million.
It'll probably be, it might be maybe 40 million euros. I don't know. I don't know what the fee will be. If the fee is lower, you would hope that there would be a good sell-on percentage included, or a good buyback clause in it. And we've seen those rumors going around a little bit that would hopefully be included in it. We've also had people like David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano have mentioned on their own live streams, on their own sort of content, you can't get information out of us really well unless we want it out there.
Yeah, that's valuable.
So like a lot of what we're seeing is like it's very, very possible. I think people have sort of forgotten this. The ownership have made a very good point. One, of saying that we need to player trade. Since the takeover happened, they've been saying we need to player trade. We need to buy low, sell high. That's going to supplement our revenue. And this is just an example of that. I mean, like Max says, 30-odd million, if it is 40 million, which I doubt it will be, 34 million pounds in profit is really, really good. That's really good. For a player in a league that does not translate attackers to the Premier League very well at all historically. That's really good business. That would be the first real example of us getting good money for a player under the new ownership, because it's the first real saleable asset we would have sold. One of the reasons why people are getting a bit worked up about it, a bit negative, overly negative about it, I'm not that negative about it, is that we're not used to having good young talent on our books. And like you saw, we've seen people go over the top with Garen Kual. He only cost a few hundred thousand. People thought he was going to be a great player, even though he was a gamble. Yankuba Minteh is very raw. He's a gamble. It only costs 7 million, which is pennies nowadays. We've seen people overreact to the rumors around Elliot Anderson. People overreact to the quality of Lewis Miley, right? And these are all clearly good players who are who are all very promising, some more than others. But because we have a bad history with young talents, most of them tend to go away. Look at Bobby Clark under Mike Ashley. Everyone was raving about Bobby Clark, and he was allowed to walk through the door for nothing. And I think that's what it is. I think it's just we just have such a bad record with young players. We sort of latch onto them, and we get really annoyed when they leave. Even if we do sell Minteh for a good fee, we are getting good money for it. I think we will spend. I think we would reinvest any sort of good fee better anyway. I do trust the scouting team. I do trust the ownership, and I think that's the main point of any of this. It doesn't, regardless of whatever money we bring in for Minteh. I think Max is right. It will allow us to keep Isak and Bruno more securely. It will also just open up our spending, being able to cover the PSR regulations, which again we talked about. That is a main driver of this sort of rumor. It would allow us to open up our spending once the next sort of reporting window starts at the start of July, which we should see. Then we should start to see us start spending.